For any, I guess, parents out there that are listening to this podcast, what would be your biggest piece of advice looking back?
Probably if you're planning on having kids or thinking of having kids, and if you have 1 ounce of if they ever come out as queer or trans and you would not support them, don't have kids. Like if you even have 1 ounce of nothing supportive, don't have kids. That's probably my biggest advice.
That's actually, I didn't even think of that. Like, here's me, like, straight man here. Like, what's the advice to the parents out there? It's like, but that's true.
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 4. This is the episode I have been waiting for to record, to have this discussion with a true brother of mine, a true friend, a true colleague, family member, someone that I learn from every day. And I'm so privileged to learn from every day and so grateful for the opportunity to work together, to learn together, to grow together, to build a beautiful friendship beyond words can imagine. Someone that I am truly grateful to have my children around and to be surrounded and look up to, and have a true mentor and leader and role model for my children. Someone that has inspired me to do more in the work that we do, to I guess to listen better, as well as sometimes, as a lot of the people around me say, I love a yarn, but sometimes I get carried away. But yeah, I think that everyone at home, I just want to really acknowledge that you all are truly privileged as well to be given this beautiful opportunity, to be given the space created by this brother of mine, and also just to be welcomed into their life and their journey as well. I think it's a absolute honor to be able to have this story shared with us. And I think also in many ways, this is a really great opportunity for deep listening and understanding, because of the privilege that we hold and have to be able to have incredible stories and opportunities, and just, I think, to be welcomed into your life, Bruss. We did have a hiccup before.
Yeah.
I hope I honoured that first intro pretty well. I think the first one was probably better, but I think you've just had a double whammy of you're going to be glowing when you leave here.
I know. And I don't take compliments very well.
Yeah, I know. But in all honesty, Bruss, I think, I'm, and I hope I share this enough, and I hope I post and give you the energy that of my appreciation, my admiration and everything to you and who you are, and how you exist in the world, in terms of what you give out, is so generous, and so open and raw and special. And I think, and I see that because we work together at the Murrin Hub.
Yeah.
And I see firsthand how you have touched the lives of many young people from, all walks of life, from different backgrounds, whether it's out of home care or whether it's youth justice or coming from domestic violence or mental health, or I think you're so generous with your soul and your heart, and it's something that I really admire. And based on the work that we do at Strong Brother, because I know it takes energy and it takes time and deep listening. I think there's, in today's society, there's not as many people that offer that,
Yeah.
that
100%.
deep listening and people that can create that space in
Yeah.
many ways, because it's a true gift. And so I just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So sorry, there's another few compliments there. So you're gonna fly at this thought, you hover, like. But also, I'm really grateful, and like I said, this is the yarns that I've been really looking forward to. I've been meaning to ask. Had been meaning to ask you for a long time about getting you on, because I think we started recording this podcast last year.
Yeah.
And then we've had so many hiccups in between, and not bad hiccups, but just we've had so much rad different things going on that this podcast has sort of got put on the burner for a little bit. And we're back, and we're here in episode 4,
Yeah.
which is deadly. And before I do start, though, I do want to acknowledge the beautiful lands that we're meeting on. These lands have created so many opportunities for me, for my family, for our community. A lot of people that come that are First Nations on these lands are guests as well. And, these lands and the people of the traditional owners of these lands are so generous with their offerings and their country and so much more, and their stories and their time. So I do want to acknowledge the lands of the Wadawurrung people and pay my deepest respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the incredible work that people like Karina Eccles, a Wadawurrung woman who works really closely with us across all the organisations that we run, and acknowledge her and, just her strength. And similar to you, I think she gives, so much and creates so much safety and space for every person that comes across her path. And, which I'm truly grateful to call her a dear friend. And, again, have my kids surrounded by beautiful people that they can learn from and have those people shape, I guess, the way they look at the world, but also just their personalities and their souls and their fire and their hearts. It's really important for me. I acknowledge all First Nations people that are tuning in today and pay my deepest respect to you, your families, your communities, your elders past, present and emerging. And Idris Braz, I acknowledge you, an incredibly strong man that I, like I said, look up to.
Yeah.
I acknowledge your family. I know your whole family there, pop in at Murrin
Yeah.
often, which is deadly. Your deadly mum, Kitty.
Yeah.
Your siblings. And I see firsthand, I think, and that's, I think, why, as the beauty of it as well, is the way that your siblings adore and look up to you as well.
Yeah.
And I know in yarns we've had previously and I think I said like to you recently, was when we talk about, we walk in the footsteps of giants. We're walking in the footsteps of our ancestors that have paved the way for us to stand here today. And they have endured far more than we have. They have sacrificed far more than we have to allow us to be here in a safer place in many ways, to be strong in our culture, to be strong in our hearts, in our soul, and have that fire burning brightly. I said to Idris, like, that's you, Bruss. You got those big footprints, so to speak. Like, you don't have big feet, and I'm not saying that. But you, I believe, in my eyes, are the giant that has paved the way for many young people and also older people as well, and for your community, the LGBTQIA plus community. I believe, I remember the other day I was like, sorry, we're going to swear, and I'm just acknowledging that today. So there's going to be some swear words in this one because I know Idris will swear as well. So it's my role to make Idris know that it's okay to swear in this podcast. So we are going to swear, eh, Bruss?
Yeah.
We're going to say some swear words, and that's great. But yeah, I think watching not only your siblings and your family, watching young people look up to you, you have shaped, you have knocked down walls, and you have paved the way for many more to come along on that journey, and you have made that journey a safe place for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
let's jump into it. Hey, welcome, my brother Idris.
Thank you.
It's really great to have you on, and yeah, I'm stoked, absolutely stoked. So what I might do is just throw it to you to just a little intro, who
Yeah.
you are, who your mob is,
Yeah.
what you do, what your passions are.
Yeah.
There's no real, you do whatever you want to do, my brother.
Yeah. So my name is Idris McChesney. I'm a proud Wujak Noongar transgender man who's been living here on Botherong country for about 4 years now, I want to say. So yeah.
Mad.
Yeah.
What brought you here, Bus?
So originally we moved over here in 2016. So I did my year 11 and 12 schooling here.
Yep.
And then after graduation, I moved back over to WA to live with my dad and my stepmom and my siblings over there for a bit. Just to get my feet on the ground for a bit.
Yeah.
And it was really nice living on country in Kununurra, just in the desert and in the river. It was so refreshing for me to do that after school, which is I feel like it was well deserved for me.
100%.
And then after spending 5 years there, I've moved back here just to help support queer First Nations people over here as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And for anyone at home that doesn't know, Kununurra is the most beautiful place.
Yeah, it is.
It's warm. It's pretty much on the border of WA and Northern Territory.
Yeah, about 2 hours.
Yeah. And yeah, I think we were there. Me, Cokes, and the kids went there a couple of years ago. I think it was when we first moved to the NT. We did a road trip. We bought this shitty old pop-up caravan. It was hilarious, and it just lasted the trip.
Yeah.
And then I had this big grand idea to fix it up, and I tried, and I butchered it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's such a beautiful place, and if you know what's off the road, there's some incredible sacred sites. There's some incredible water holes. And just the cliffs and the mountain ranges and just the colours for me was
beautiful
really
there.
100%. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being here. Like I said, it's true honor and privilege. I guess if we could jump back, if that's okay with you, into little Idris. I guess if you could sort of shape an idea for us about, I guess your journey as a young person growing up and sort of, that journey of finding yourself, your true self.
It was definitely a hard journey. I think nothing is ever easy when you're a part of the queer community, especially as being a First Nations queer person as well. So I probably figured out something that was wrong with me, or this uneasiness, when I was about 3 to 4 years. I just didn't feel comfortable, which is not a good thing for a child to feel, I guess. And then I didn't really understand what the word or the term trans meant until I was about 15. So I had that quite a couple of years of just feeling uneasy, uncertain. And it's especially hard being First Nations too, because of men's business and women's business. I didn't know quite where I fit in at all. And especially being one step removed, I didn't know about my culture at all growing up. My mum was adopted as a baby, and by New Zealand parents, so she didn't have that culture with her as well to give on to us. So I always felt that I was too black for the white community and too But it was definitely a struggle, and then when I was about 15, 16, when we moved over here, I finally found out that there was more people like me, and they felt like me, and they looked like me, and they understood the struggles that I went through, and it was really refreshing to actually see people like me.
Yeah, because I was just I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
I was just gonna jump in there. Is like, what was that feeling like? To
Um,
just see people that that you were like, that's me, that's my
yeah.
community, that's my people.
It was just so eye-opening,
Yeah,
especially because we were living in, Bunbury
yeah,
throughout,
far out.
so that's, like, not a good place to live. Sorry if you're just living out there, but
Yeah,
so
like,
there was, and especially, like, like, you couldn't even be gay or lesbian,
yeah,
like, back then, which is crazy to think about because 'cause I'm only, like, 24,
100%.
so
Yeah,
that's, like, um, but yeah, so when I came over here, it was just like the queer community was so out and proud, and I felt finally accepted by community.
mm,
Um, and it was just so it's just so refreshing to see that,
mm,
um, and finally having that language too, it helped me to come out to family, which was really hard at the time because I'm the oldest of eight, so I have seven younger siblings and such a big family and like
massive family,
grandparents. Yeah.
bus.
There was quite a lot of backlash when I came out just
Yeah,
because there was um, nobody really knew the language,
yeah,
and they were scared for me, which is reasonable to be scared, but they couldn't find the language or the way to help me medically transition, which
yeah,
was really hard. Um, so I struggled for that for a bit until I was about 17. So I graduated in and I turned 17 and I was like, well, I have to get out of here.
yeah,
um,
100%.
if no
Run.
one, if no one's gonna help me out here, I have to go find
Yeah,
somewhere else to go. So I went back to Kununurra, which
yeah.
is I always joke about that I had to move from a big city to a little country town to find myself.
Oh, so you were here in on Wadawurrung country.
Yeah, I was on
Sorry, I thought you
Rotherham.
were in
No, so
I thought you were in Redneck Town still,
nah,
Bus.
nah. So I
That's why I was
was
like, run, Bus.
no,
Like,
I was living in Lara, just
wow.
outside. Yeah,
Still, that's a tough
yeah,
community to be a transgender person
yeah.
in.
It was
Like,
definitely tough. Even being First Nations in Lara was tough
yeah,
as well. Like I was the only one that was proudly like acknowledged my culture in high school.
yeah,
And there was like two other First Nations kids in
yeah,
this whole entire school.
100%. And for I guess for listeners out there, like even I remember when like I'm probably almost 10. I'm 11 years older than you.
Yeah,
I'm old. Jeez. Um, And yeah, Lara was well known for, I guess in my personal experience, like school,
yeah,
all the people that would call you racist names or
yeah.
whatever were majority
Mm.
from Lara.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I was like 16 and people were still calling me Abo in
yeah,
school, like, and that's crazy. Like,
100%,
like,
100%.
how backwards do you have to be out there?
Exactly. And it still is,
Yeah,
like there's farmers that have plowed every piece of their land in fear of, that we're going to
yeah,
take their land,
yeah,
and you see it when you drive out there because there is some beautiful country out there.
yeah,
And, there's the stone arrangement out there. Stone arrangement is an incredible place where it's a healing place. I remember when Uncle Dave took me out there years ago and he said, when you wake up, it's going to feel like Christmas
yeah,
and it did next day. And I didn't realize, but it aligned with the Stonehenge and it was a winter and summer solace and the
yeah,
map. And so then you got all these, all these farmers plowing their land because they
yeah,
think they're like, oh, this thing's been found out there, and it's sad.
mm,
But as a straight Aboriginal man, like to even think, of your journey living in Lara,
yeah.
like it's yeah,
Yeah, it was definitely hard. That's why I had to move back to Kununurra for 5 years, which was really sad because obviously I had to leave behind some of the family members over
mm,
here. But I'd had to find myself basically, and
yeah,
if I had to do that in a small country town, then that's where I had to go.
totally,
So then when I moved over to Kununurra, there was obviously no one was openly queer in Kununurra at
yeah,
the time when I moved there. So it was really hard to find my like footing out there, and I was just 18, so I didn't know I didn't know anyone besides like my family,
Yeah.
and it was quite hard. But then we finally decided to do something about it. So
Yeah.
there was a group of us decided that, well, we needed to have a pride event here. So I was on the committee, and I helped build like the first pride events that happened in Kununurra, and they happen every year now, which is amazing to see. That's they're happening. The newest one is happening in June. So if you guys are out that way or in Kununurra, go check out the pride event out there.
Totally. Shout out to the Kununurra mob,
Yeah.
eh, Russ? Aye.
But yeah, and it was amazing being out there and being openly queer and being openly First Nations as well. It was just amazing to be out there, and then once I finally felt happy with myself and I felt that I could finally move back over here on Wathaurong land, I could finally get back on my feet. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Um, yeah, wow. It's and obviously I know I guess a lot of your stories based on
Yeah.
our beautiful yarns, and hearing the stories of your dad.
Yeah.
He sounds like a madman, but also a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
father to have.
Yeah,
Uh,
my dad is probably the whitest man known to the world.
yeah, yeah,
But he's probably the most supportive man that I have ever met in my entire
yeah,
life. And to be like a father of a First Nations kid is tough anyway. And then to have a kid that's openly queer, obviously there's a lot of worries that come with that. But my my dad was very supportive of me when I
yeah,
first came out, and it was amazing to see.
yeah. You were telling me like he would drive
Yeah,
from one side of Australia
yeah.
to the other to.
The only gender clinic that's closest to Kununurra is Darwin, so it's about a 10-hour drive. And he would pack up, so it'd be me, my dad, and my stepmom, and then 5 of my siblings. We would all fit in the car and drive up to Darwin for the weekend, just for me to get an injection and then drive all the way back down.
Wow, wow. That's really wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. When you shared that with me when we had those yarns, I was like, if only all
yeah,
young ones had like fathers like that,
yeah,
especially fathers.
yeah,
And I think that's for me as a father now. I know I would do that for my kids.
yeah,
I would do anything for my kids, and it really. I left that day and really reflected on it
mm,
to be like, yeah, would you? And I would,
yeah,
and I know I would, and I know
yeah,
that's who I am. But I know there's many fathers out there that wouldn't.
yeah,
And that really worried, and just it sort of made me think, fuck, there's people out there and there's kids out there
yeah.
that haven't, yeah,
They don't have any supportive family, and I will forever be grateful for that. Especially because I have 2 families that are supportive of me, and I've got extended family and friends. And not that many people are lucky to have even one supportive
mm,
friend. So I always take that with stride, and I'm always grateful for them.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And for any, I guess, parents out there that are listening to this podcast,
Hmm.
what would be your biggest piece of advice
Um,
looking back?
Probably if you're planning on having kids or thinking of having kids, and if you have 1 ounce of if they ever come out as queer or trans and you would not support them, don't have kids. Like
Yep.
if you even have 1 ounce of nothing supportive, don't have kids. It's
Yeah.
probably my biggest
That's actually,
advice.
yeah. I didn't even think of that. Like, here's me, like, straight man here. Like, what's the advice to the parents out there? It's like, but that's
It's
true.
yeah, there's
100%.
I know a lot of my friends have had to not talk to their family members when they come out, have got no family, just found family. And that's probably the biggest thing, is that if you will not be supportive in any way,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be having kids.
I can back that. That
Yeah.
is so true.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Because it's like, why have kids then?
Yeah.
If you aren't going to back them.
Yeah, if you aren't going to support them 100% with anything,
Yeah.
then you shouldn't be a parent.
Exactly. And there's some parents out there that are, you know, it's like, you shouldn't be allowed to have children, you know, and I think that often, you know, and yeah, when you walk around the shops, you know, you see, and you see even like, you see how some parents talk or look at their kids.
Yeah.
It's like, you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
100%, you know, so if you are a scumbag, don't have kids.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's powerful, Buzz.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's, like I said, I acknowledge I'm a straight Aboriginal man, and I'll always, and I think I've said this in every podcast so far, or maybe I'm wrong, but the moment you stop learning is a sad day.
Yeah.
It's a really sad day the moment you stop learning. And the moment you think you know everything, I think people need to really reflect on they're full of shit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're always learning. And I'm so grateful for these yarns, because, you know, you offer so much, but it's important. It's so important for me to acknowledge, you know, I'm such a straight Aboriginal man that comes from privilege, that has created privilege for myself too, you know, and I think there's lots of people out there in that situation, whether you do have privilege in many different ways, whether you have money or not. There is other terms of privilege in many ways, and I think it's so important to understand that, you know, and not be like, oh, but I think people have different privileges, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too is the privilege of not having fear too is probably a big one, especially with the queer community. I don't think a lot of people realize how scary it is just going outside to day-to-day life. Like, and it's even more scary being queer First Nations person as well. Like, you've already got that backlash of like cops following you if you're black, and if you add on being like queer, or if you have a rainbow badge and stuff like that, it's even more frightening, I guess.
100%. Yeah, ACAB. Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad. I think that's what it comes down to. You know, that people feel the need to assert their dominance or assert their opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen that at Murrin.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's people with their racist views or their homophobic views or whatever their views are, it's this arrogance and stupidity.
Yeah.
I'm going to say. Let's go with that. I can probably think of way more insulting words, but we probably can't say them on the podcast. But yeah, it's the stupidity and arrogance of stupid, and in most cases, white men.
Yeah.
I'd say, you get a few, you know, you do get white women that have those views too, but, you know, it's really, for me, and seeing some of those people come into our space has been a challenge not to flog anyone, you know, because it's people I love and adore in many ways, but also it just blows my mind that people can still be so shit in this day and age.
Yeah, and in a sense, it's like we've gone backwards, I think, in the last 2 years. Like, we had such a big progression only for everyone to just go back like 10 steps. Like, it's been crazy.
100%. I'm going to throw a few more questions at you, Buzz, if that's all right. The journey of transition, if you don't mind me asking, how was that? I know there was some stuff you shared with me that I just couldn't believe, you know, and I think a lot of people out there probably don't know from privilege, naivety. I don't even know if that's a word, but let's go with that. But, you know, I guess, like, I couldn't believe that it's not Medicare rebated still.
No, so you don't get any Medicare for it. You don't even get paths for flights for surgery, because it's classified as plastic surgery. It's a beauty thing, not a life affirming surgery. So I had to pay 30 grand out of pocket.
30 grand.
Yeah, so that's including flights, stay, the overnight stay in a hospital, like 30 grand.
And these, in most cases, is it at a private hospital too?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
at a private hospital. And I didn't even go with the best surgeon in Australia too. I went with like the third best surgeon.
And why was that, if you don't mind me asking, Gus?
Just because price range, he was the cheapest that I could go for.
Yeah.
And the wait list for surgeries, for gender affirming surgeries, is about 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, wow.
And you're even lucky to save up the money in the first place when it's your turn. And then if you don't have that money, you just get booted down to the next person. Like, it's crazy how the government just fucks everyone over with that. Like,
It's ridiculous. And the fact that it's seen as plastic surgery is disgusting.
yeah, it's not. It's classified as like a beauty thing and not like gender affirming care, which is messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about it and I said some pretty intense words that again we can't say on this podcast. But and for any, I guess I'm going to throw it out there, but for any people in positions of privilege, and we are, we work with incredible people that have generational wealth.
Yeah.
We work, through Strong Brother, through Marin, through Naramili. We work with so many people that have generational wealth, which in many cases we as black fellas don't yet.
Mm.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'd say. I think you and me get to see firsthand those opportunities of generational wealth creation and the ripple effects of that. But for, we get asked all the time and it sort of shits me in many ways, and as a straight man, I have no right, and I know that, I have no right to determine what is done for, for our transgender mob, for our queer mob, for all of our mob from the LGBTQA plus community.
Yeah.
It's not my place,
Mm.
but I can be an ally
Yeah.
and I can be a support, but I know my place.
Yeah.
And that I think is truly important. And I always, and I always say to you, tell me to fuck off, bros. You're allowed to tell me to fuck off. You're allowed to tell me when I'm being a dick. You're allowed to tell me, but for people out there that are listening, know your place too.
Yeah.
I think that is really important from my perspective, and jump in us. Know your privilege. The fact that you had to fork out $30,000 it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that was with support of my parents too. So, and a lot of people don't have any support and they have to pay it just by themselves, that $30,000, which is crazy. That's why you should always go on GoFundMe's and look at a lot of my friends have personally done that and had people donate and do like donate parties, which I did at the start. I had a couple of donate parties.
Sick.
Which I think I raised like $3,000, which is still that's flights.
Yeah, that's what, like 10%.
Yeah.
But, but realistically, the fact that like no person should have to pay.
No.
Like that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's appalling, and this country should be disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And our government, whether it's Labor, whether it's Liberal, Greens, whoever it is, independents in the like that's on you if you're watching. Do better. Like it's ridiculous, and when we look at one like you shared before, one being a member of the LGBTQA plus community, but then adding in you're a black fella too.
Yeah.
Like we ain't got wealth, but
Yeah.
if anything, we got debt.
Yeah.
We got our lands, we've been knocked over so much that like to think there's so many mob out there that
are struggling.
Yeah, because they just can't access surgery.
And don't even have the language to
Yeah.
like there's so much like missed language that people aren't learning to how they could describe themselves too. So I think that's really important to have posters, brochures, anything, like even a flag makes a difference in someone's life. Like especially when I was a teenager, going into a space that had the pride flag in a room,
Mm.
I knew that they were supportive and they
Yeah.
wouldn't let me hang, basically.
And that's what, 10 years ago, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
So would that be rare 10 years ago?
Yeah, so it was very rare. And even seeing like the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander
Oh,
flag, it's even rare in a space to have both.
yeah.
So I felt really conflicted sometimes, um, because obviously I've got my two communities. I was always supportive, like getting support from one but not the other, and
Mm.
it's a really hard thing. And I think we need to like draw them together, like, and that's what I really want to do is
Mm.
because there's heaps of queer First Nations people that like I know personally
Mm.
that aren't getting support or need that extra support from others. And we need to have that visibility in like First Nation spaces and in queer spaces as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And it even comes down to like people are tripping if they don't think that there was transgender mob
No.
back in the old days. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, like I think, there's always these discussions like it was a new thing. It's like you guys are fucking
No.
tripping.
Transphobia and homophobia is a colonizer mindset. Like
Exactly.
before like colonization happened and like before the church even came here, we had like queer mob
Mm.
and we were around and there was, I know in some communities there was no such thing as men's business and women's business. It was like
Mm.
you just got to go where you belonged. Like
Mm.
if you were doing men's business, that's where you would go. Like it was like that back then.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I know, like, we're going to have to moderate these. Like, not moderate, sorry, that's the word. We're going to have to keep an eye on the comments on this because
Yeah.
there are going to be people out there, like,
Yeah.
from our community ourselves.
Oh yeah. I think the most like homophobic and transphobic slurs I've gotten in my life has been by First Nations people, which is really sad because
Yeah.
it just shows you how colonization has affected like our mob basically and like their mindset and stuff.
Yeah. Because, yeah. And I guess, I'm just going to put it out there. If you are homophobic, like tune out to our channels. Don't follow us. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want you a part of our community. We don't want you, we don't want anything to do with you because it's awful
Mm.
and it's pathetic and you are tripping. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just in the last 25 years. It's
Yeah.
like,
No, been
you know?
around for thousands and thousands of years.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. I think that's what blows my mind is like people's naive. I'm
Yeah.
going to try and say that word again. Naivety.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Fox, is it a word, Russ? It is. Yeah, deadly. Fox is our incredible content creator behind the lens. So thank you, Buzz. It just didn't sound like a real word, but I was going with it. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's wild. Jump into future, Idris. What's your dreams and goals, Bruss?
My big dream in life is to run a queer First Nations organization, which I've kind of already got in the back burner that I'm working on. I just need funding for it,
Yeah.
basically, is a big thing, which is called Walkin, which is Noongar word for rainbow.
Yep.
And I've kind of already done like workshops within it and I've done small like gatherings of it, but obviously need a space and funding to make it big.
And you can use our spaces,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is your home, my brother, and it's lots of your mob's home.
Yeah.
And it always will be, And I think, I've always said this, but, we back you.
Yeah.
And we back your mob. And we always will.
Yeah.
And you have full reign of this place and all our places.
Yeah.
I see my privilege. I'm going to get emotional now. Well, I see the privilege that I've created through my beautiful partner, Coco, who backed me and still backs me. And I probably do her head in, Russ. I know I do her head in, but what she has done for me has allowed our family this beautiful privilege. And I know that now and I know that privilege. And it's really important for me to know that privilege. And I back everything you do because I see I'm getting really emotional. I see And emotion's good. I think, we're always, and you commented on our
Yeah.
first podcast, and men cry, like it's so funny as well. No, we don't cry. We always have laughs about this. But yeah, you have our backing, and this is yours.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
But let's tell us about that, because funders out there are listening too.
Yeah.
Like, we've got some incredible partners that back us. Shout out to the Cotton On Foundation. They're probably one of our greatest funders.
Yeah.
That is philanthropic, that backs us truly, that trusts us, that, I guess just lets us do what we want to do and need to do. Actually, what we need to do for our community is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I just saw they just did a month for a Māori organisation, First Nations organisation, and it's Rainbow Mob Org. I think they raised about $650,000.
Wow.
Which is really cool. But I think for all our funders out there, let's yarn.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's bring them in. Let's get them in to yarn with you, Bruce, because it's important. We yarn about your dreams and goals, and I'm there all the whole way, and I back you the whole way. And I think the next steps is talking to the team that we use to help start charities and organisations. In many ways, we work with Norton Fulbright Rose, who are incredible and have backed so many First Nations incentives.
Yeah.
But we haven't even, we haven't supported. No one's come to us from your community, from the LGBTQIA plus community, to start a charity.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's the most important piece of the puzzle. It's the missing piece of the puzzle, and we know what it'll do. And I think that's what excites me, to see what you can do. But I know, and it's quite funny we're having this yarn on podcast, but this is yours, and so is Mo. And then I think you know that now, because I'm just like, it's so annoying with telling you often. And we've working with you now to support our young ones too, through mentoring. We're about to start that up, which is really exciting. But then just when you start, we just back you, and we always will back you. So it's really exciting. So yes. But that's exciting. Tell us more about that, because that's massive.
Yeah.
And it's so needed.
I probably came up with Walk-In when I first moved back over here. So about 3 years ago, I had this idea of like, okay, well, I need somewhere to go to hang out that's First Nations and queer. And then there's a lot of spaces in Melbourne, which is great. But to live in Geelong, especially for me, because I'm not an extrovert, I don't like to party, I don't like to drink or do all of that. I just like to hang out and play board games. So I was like, well, I need to then make a group like that for introverts like me that are queer and First Nations and don't want to do all this, like, because you can still be out and proud, but you can still be out and proud in quiet spaces too. You don't need to be like out on the dance floor or anything like that.
But also, you don't have to be at the forefront of everything, and you don't have to, like, I think we had this yarn the other day, like, because obviously we had the Ida Hoppet, sorry, the Ida Hoppet Day, a day against, transphobia and homophobia and just people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said to you, know your worth. Because I sort of said, I wish someone told me that years ago. And and it was more out of a place of just seeing, I guess, all the incredible work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And then knowing how much you were charging. I was like, brass.
Charge more. Charge more.
Charge, especially the dogs, charge them more. The big, Anyway, sorry. But also I said, know yourself and back. I think I said, know yourself and back yourself.
Yeah.
Which is really important and we had that really beautiful yarn around, you don't have to be at the forefront all the time.
No.
Because do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I feel like As me especially, I like to go to my rallies and I like to show support, but I'm riddled with anxiety and a massive introvert that I leave that to like my other friends and
Mm.
family to go fight for me. And I think that's a big thing for allies too, is to
Mm.
go to rallies, whether that be First Nations ones or LGBT ones as well. Um, but yeah, I'm always fighting for the quiet ones in the
Yeah.
back of the room, and that's probably what because I was, and I'm probably still am. I always try and fight for the ones that can't do the fighting for themselves, basically. Yeah,
And I think that's what really, um, I guess my intro
yeah,
to yourself was you don't leave anyone behind.
Mm,
And that's so important, you know? And I think in this day and age and this world, we do.
yeah,
People get so caught up in whatever's going on. And sadly, in this day and age, there's so much self interest,
yeah,
you know? And it's quite rich of me talking on the podcast saying there's so much self self interest. But this podcast is about sharing stories.
yeah,
Um, and I'm the same as you. There's so many people like, oh, you know,
yeah,
the face is like, I fucking hate it.
yeah,
It scares me.
yeah,
And you talk to Cokes, and she sees me crash and fall after I do like say like, and I rarely do them now because I know my triggers
yeah,
as well. And that was I think that was such a and I'm sure, and let's yarn about it because it's such an important one. Was understanding one, it was understanding my childhood experiences
yeah,
and how they play a role in my life now, in my everyday life, but also in my life as a father. How I was programmed as a child based off those experiences, good and bad, and how they play out today. And I think, you know, life now is so fast tracked that we lose consciousness,
yeah,
if that makes sense, of moments and time and people.
yeah,
And me, it's quite funny. Me and Cokes were talking about it last night. Is people are so important. People are the most important thing in the world.
yeah,
Nothing else. But oh, sorry, actually no. The Earth and the planet. You know, the Earth is incredibly. You know, and I back. You know, it's people and the Earth.
yeah,
Are the two. They're the most important things because without each other, we can't. Well, the Earth actually would probably do way better without us. But yeah, like
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah,
And I think, um, yeah, I think it's just I've really learned to understand who I am and how I function
yeah,
based on my childhood experiences. And I've made so many mistakes,
Mm,
but I think now learning from those is really good because it allows me to be fully present for my children and
yeah,
for Cokes and for moments like this and the kids that we work with, if that makes sense.
yeah, 100%.
Um, and that's the same in your day and life, anyone's,
Yeah,
you know. And I think that's why and that's what sort of led me to say to you, just be wary of your soul,
yeah,
you know, because you're giving
Mm,
so much, and it was more in the public space,
yeah,
you know, when you were like we were talking about like doing events and holding space
yeah,
and knowing your worth and but also just being conscious of who you're giving to.
yeah.
Let's talk about that,
Yeah.
eh? Because behind us blackfellas, we know, you know,
Yeah.
it's like far out. The other day at Murrin, like I'm not going to name, but we had a booking. Were you there? I can't remember. Maybe it was Stella.
Yeah, possibly.
Um, and we had a booking, and it was for Rec Week, and the lady was so awful. And it's like get out.
Yeah.
Why? Like it's so tokenistic, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and yeah, I guess it's, you guys have it in your community too, is those
Yeah. There's
tokenism.
always allies for the week or allies for the month, but not for the rest of the year.
Allies for the month. Tell
Yeah.
us, Bus.
Yeah. So especially you see it, it's a big thing, happens every year. June is obviously Pride Month.
Yeah.
You see all these big corporations like to like pride clothing, flags, and then July 1st comes around and they tear it all down, basically. It's like, well, where's your pride the rest of the year? Like, where are you showing up, like donating money to organizations to like, especially with gender affirming care.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just, they don't care once it's over. Like, and you know where they stand, basically, after that.
100%. And would you say, like, I think what I've learned over time too is with Strong Brother or Naramili, you know, you always see those few orgs that are always getting backed.
Yeah.
Is it the same in your community?
Yeah, so it's definitely, especially government wise too,
Yeah.
they always show their support. And then when something bigger or better comes around, they'll just kick us to the curb, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
Especially with funding and money wise,
Yeah.
they'll put it to bigger and better things, not for the queer community at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess really, something I'm really interested, and I guess it's based on, you know, seeing it through my eyes as like CEO of Strong Brother or whatever, is, you know, we always see that one or two organizations constantly funded.
Yeah.
You know, and again, they're the ones that always get the big bucks, you know,
Yeah.
and it's because they've got connections with government. They got, you know, all those things, and good on them, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm not ragging on them or anything like that. But for me personally, if Strong Brother doesn't make heaps of cash, like everyone
Yeah.
thinks we're flash, and you know, like we're only bringing in 1.2, 1.5 a year.
Yeah.
And we got seven staff, I think. Yeah, 7 full-time staff.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 spaces and, you know, all this stuff. So we run off a really dry, oily rag.
Mm.
And when you see these big orgs getting all the cash every time, it's like, and I know entrenched in me and my values based off how I was brought up. If we got big enough and those offers kept coming in and that money, we kept being offered more,
Yeah.
I would hope so. You know, but I feel I would be like, all right, no, we're good now.
Yeah.
There is so many incredible grassroots organizations. There is so many community members that are assets to their community.
Yeah.
Back them.
Yeah. 100%.
Is the same in your community?
Yeah. Like there's so many, like small businesses that are barely getting like $5,000. And that's for them to run a program for 12 months. Like that's
12 months.
That's like nothing.
What's $5,000 divided by 52?
Yeah. It's like, and you want us to run you want me to run a program that's like for 12 people, and you also, that money's including paying me. That's not enough money.
Don't be that person. Don't be that org. Because if you are, that is disgraceful.
Yeah.
Because that undermines everything. It
Yeah.
undermines and it undervalues. And if in any way it pushes people backwards. Because, yeah, that's crazy. Actually, no, it's not crazy. I know that. We get it here too, Bryce.
Yeah.
You know? I guess while we're on that bureaucratical discussion, I guess it's that we have to talk about this. The United States.
Yeah.
Like
not good.
Not good. I shouldn't laugh, but man, Bruss, that was it's not good.
No.
It's scary.
Yeah. And very fearful for obviously the trans and the queer community over there. But with how buddy our government is
Totally.
with the American government,
Yep.
I'm fearful for what will happen here.
Yeah.
Like, and it's happened, I think it was like last week, there was a news article about how a man stormed into the girls' bathroom and demanded this woman to show him that she was a woman. And it's because he was worried that she would be trans but he's already in that bathroom demanding to see her genitals. So it's like, where do you draw the line in the sand there?
And what gives you the right?
Yeah, and it's like, it's a bathroom. Nobody cares.
Bathroom.
Like, it's so fucked up what's happening there. And I'm just so fearful that it's going to happen over here.
Oh,
Like, and there's just, especially now that I'm older, and my siblings, they're all under the age of 18, so they're all still quite young. And two of them are part of the trans community, like under the
Yep.
trans umbrella. And I'm so fearful for them to grow up when the government is doing what they're doing now. Like,
100%.
and especially when I was a teenager, it wasn't the best, but because it was so swept under the rug, we didn't have that extra fear.
Yeah.
But now that everyone knows about us and the government is like policing this fearful mindset of trans people, it's very dangerous,
And it-
especially for cisgender people too. Like, it's not a good time at the moment.
Totally. And it's crazy because in a really fucked up way, it empowers these scumbags
Yeah,
to feel comfortable.
yeah,
And I can't even articulate it to how bad
yeah,
and crook and cruel and twisted it is.
yeah,
But like, and I've seen it in town, in the hub, you know,
yeah,
and it's yeah, it's allowing these psychopaths. There we go.
yeah,
There we go. Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
yeah,
It's allowing these psychopaths, because they are.
yeah,
They're psychopaths. It's allowing them to feel so comfortable in their skin to spew hatred,
yeah.
vile, awful, disgusting, foul, like unthinkable things to another human being.
Mm.
And for me, that's, you know, it's where it's, yeah, it's just, it's unfathomable.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then to look at like what they're doing in the military,
Yeah.
like,
It's not the best. Because even over here, like with the trans people being in like military, yeah, they're just kicking out in America. They're
yeah,
kicking out trans people in the military.
yeah,
And it's like, what gives you the right to do that? Like, they're just trying to live their life,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. And yeah, and even just like, fuck Trump. And, you know, it's crazy how comfortable he can be to back himself in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, he'll die soon. That's great. You know, he's either going to,
Yeah.
or he's going to, and hopefully in the world will be
Nice place.
a slightly nicer place.
Yeah.
I think I said to you earlier, it's like when all them old white men, you know, we're not going, yeah, there we go. When they all die. You know, but they're children. We need to, and that's a massive thing, is we need to ensure we can educate these children and people's children, and our schools play a vital role in that.
100%.
And that's probably just a really good segue to go into as well. You know, that's like, I remember when we were in Darwin and there was a parental meeting called at Wari's school, because there was a book that had the flag.
Yep.
It had the rainbow flag in a book. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And there was uproar with all these. I was like,
Yeah.
get a job.
Yeah.
Off. You
Do
know?
something better with your life.
Yeah. And none of them, like, they're all these like hippie, like, you know, like weird humans that, and somehow, like, I always say, like, I love Darwin, it's beautiful, but there are so many random misfit people that do find their way to Darwin, and everyone knows that. And there's no diss to Darwin. I love Darwin.
Yeah.
But it seemed, you know, and anyway, yeah, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I went to it, you know, and I was like, like, you know, up here.
Yeah.
You know, it was just crazy. The delusion, but also just how convinced they were
Yeah.
about this book.
Yeah.
had the rainbow flag and a dog in it.
Yeah. They think they have so much entitlement that they can do no wrong
Yeah.
whatsoever, which is I feel like we need to take him down a peg or two.
How do we do that?
Yeah. It's
But it was,
just yeah, I think it's just more posters and
yeah.
it's just that knowledge, especially in school spaces too. Like
100%.
I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't know any language, but I still knew that there was something different about me.
Yeah.
So if I had that language when I was even 5 or 6, I probably would have been a lot further on my journey than I would have loved to.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I guess talking about school, like school, you know, we have boys schools
Yeah.
and girls schools.
Mm.
And I know some of our young ones that are, you know, finding their feet,
Yeah.
finding their identity. And they're at an all boys school and all girls school. Like that's another complexity in itself.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's really hard. I've got one of my sister's friends currently is trans and is stuck in an all girls school and is struggling at the moment, but because it's a Catholic all girls school
Yeah.
too, it's even harder. And
Yeah.
I've been supporting as much as I can, even though I barely know this child. But
Yeah.
I guess that shows you who I am as a person
Yeah.
too, is that I'm trying to support this person with as much information as I possibly can.
Yep.
Without them getting into trouble, I guess,
Mm.
and without me getting into trouble. But yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's wild. I appreciate these yarns.
yeah,
And I feel like you and me have these yarns lots. You know,
Yeah.
we're just like, we're just like the world. Let's do this, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I love yarning with you, my brother. Yeah, I think as a straight Aboriginal man, it just grinds my gears to
Yeah.
think that humanity is still so shit and pathetic in many ways. And
Yeah.
if, you know, and there's going to be people that are going to like fucking tell me, you know, and all these things, and you can go away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this dream, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know, like anyone that is watching, that is a funder.
Yeah.
$500,000
Yeah.
kicks it off, really. And what's $500,000? You know, but let's get like, and because that's the crazy thing is like, there's so many like trusts, foundations that
Yeah.
give. And when we talk about $500,000, everyone's like, that's so much money. But if, you know, if each can give 10, 50, 100 grand,
Yeah.
like, you know, let's look at it. There's $100,000 from 5 different organizations to kick it off. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, we're going to work together. We're going to
Yeah.
get this, we're going to get it done, because I know we will.
Yeah.
It's going to be deadly. But for any like of our partners and foundations that are watching out there, I think let's have yarns. I'm going to hit you up anyway, and me and you're just going to come kick down the door.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But I think it is knowing your dream, knowing your worth. It is truly important.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, and then it's we haven't got that down here on Wadawurrung country, let alone anywhere.
Yeah.
Like here in Victoria, I don't think so. Really, do we? Or
No, there's not a lot of organizations or groups for queer First Nations youth, and that's a big thing, is the youth. There's a lot of groups and organizations that help support 18 plus.
Yep.
But it's very much, we need to support our youth, especially our young mob that are struggling with identity within the queer community too, that just to show them that there are others like them, like, because I didn't have anyone that was queer or First Nations growing up, and just seeing that diversity is life changing, basically.
and to have true self-determined
Yeah.
First Nations rainbow mob, like an org led, operated,
Yeah.
fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like that's what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like as straight white, straight natural man here saying it, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and these people that are in these spaces that even are those organizations that are rainbow mob orgs need to, as an Aboriginal straight male, need to back First Nations rainbow mob.
Yeah, 100%.
And share the love, in my opinion, just from our relationship and yarns and friendship. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? So last question, I promise. We could yarn all day, Bruce. I think I could we just need a heater.
I know it's
cold
in
here. Yeah. I'll get there one day, I promise. Yeah, I guess if you could tell yourself, your younger self, any piece of advice or something, anything, doesn't have to be advice, it could be whatever, what would it be?
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Probably a big one. Don't give up. Keep fighting and stay strong.
Yeah. 100%. And you did all that, Bruce. You did all that. 100%. Is there anything you want to tell other young mob out there?
Just stay true to who you are. No one can tell you who you are or what you can be. And just trust in yourself.
Amazing. And what do you got coming up? Like, I just remember, you got some cool shit coming up. Bruce.
Yeah, I've got a lot of gallery spaces that I'm in at the moment. I'm going to be a part of the Yarra Street Gallery, which will be up from Reconciliation Week up until NAIDOC Week.
Is that in Geelong?
Yeah, in Geelong, just on the Adat Market Square on the wall there. And then I also run Yucapa, which is a First Nations-led art program out at Platform Arts too.
Right. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's it was curated by Taryn Love. Yep. She's a deadly artist. And Yucapa was just an open studio where we could just come and yarn and make art. And we've done a couple of exhibitions together, but it was mostly just to showcase how diverse First Nations artists are. Like, especially with me, I wouldn't call myself a traditional artist just because I love writing and horror, and that's like my favorite genre. But yeah, it's a really nice space to come together and just make art as a group. Yeah.
And how would you describe your art? Like, if you had to throw it in a category, because I've seen it.
Probably mixed media artist is probably the best way to describe my art, because I do like a wide range of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And for you've still got you and Bindi actually.
Yeah, so me and my sister have got our exhibition still up at the Myron Hub in Geelong still, which is pretty cool. It's a collection of poems and artwork that we've done.
So, and it's a beautiful space. I think I was in there today with some people and was showing them your stories and poems and artwork and everything in that space, and I was like, we can't move it. Just needs to be here.
It lives there now.
You know. And I was saying to them, like, this lady just was like, this is so generous. Yeah. And I was like, that's true. And just this, like, I love going in there to just read, because it's a calming space too, I feel. That space. But it's also, you can smell, because we've got that smoking bowl in there still.
Yeah.
You can still smell elements of country while you're in the city.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why I like that space. How you and Bindi curated that space. It's created a really safe, nurturing space, but also to have those elements of bush in smack bang in the CBD.
Yeah.
It's pretty special. So thank you for that, because that's so special. Artworks, are they for sale in these exhibitions? Or?
Yes, they are. Not the ones at the Yarra Street gallery, but the ones in Murrin Hub are still for sale. So.
100%. Come see me. Or Idris.
Oh yes, or me.
Yeah.
I've got I do a lot of commission pieces too. So
100%.
if anyone wants some original work, they can come to me.
And how do we contact you?
So at Idris We at Instagram is probably the best way to.
We'll chuck that
contact me.
all up there, Bruz. We'll put it in the links and all those fun things. That's what Fox is good at, not me. But also you work at Murrin Hub as well, hey?
Yeah.
Like that's your baby.
Yeah.
You make the best latte.
Been there since the start. So
Yeah. And it's deadly, and it's, I think, I see you've got a lot of different art pieces in there too. I guess like I really like one of my favorite ones, and Stella actually put them all out the other day, so they're all out now.
Nice.
It's deadly. But I really love the two skulls that you had. I think it was the candle skull. Is it made from the candles? Yeah, just the way that that's presented. I guess is that horror.
Yeah, I love taking nice things and turning them weird and creepy.
Yes,
it's probably my favorite artworks that I'm making at the moment is turning Banksia seed pods and turning them into eyeballs. Like I like turning the clay into eyeballs and sticking them in there.
That was in your recent one, eh? Too. Yeah, that's right. That's mad. So make sure we'll put if you are after Idris's art or a commission piece, get in contact. Idris is also at Murrin Hub, so if you can't get in contact, just call us at Murrin Hub. Idris will most likely answer the phone.
Yeah, I'll make you a coffee.
Yeah, best latte in town for sure. But it's really important for everyone listening at home, in my eyes, to know that queer, trans, our rainbow community have always been here. And if you don't believe that, you are tripping. It's also incredibly important to buy from rainbow businesses to support Rainbow Mob and their leaders of their communities and the non-leaders as well.
Yeah.
That's really important. And know your place. I think there's so many people out there that are great allies, and then there's allies out there that cause more harm than good.
Yeah.
Know your place, know your privilege. And when I say privilege, everyone has some sort of privilege. You know, I believe.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you have wealth or not. Doesn't matter if you're struggling in some way or not. I think it's understanding our privilege in many ways, I believe. And I mean that in a non-insulting way. But I think for any business out there, you know, there's simple things to do. Like you said, Buzz, if, you know, putting stickers on the rainbow flag stickers on your doors, your windows, you know, just
even just hanging a flag in the space makes a difference.
Yeah.
Like all those steps are just affirming care for others. It's like preventing suicide is probably
100%,
a big thing.
100%. And just check in with your brother boys, your sister girls, your brothers, your sisters, you know, like your friends, your family, your colleagues, because you never know what someone's walking through on a day-to-day basis, because this world can be cruel and scary. And again, as you know, being blackfella and everything, there's so many more complexities like you shared. But celebrating you, my brother, and your beauty and your strength and your love and your passion and your family, I think for me, reflecting, it sounds like I said, I think, you know, I'm going to end it on this, but I really, truly appreciate our yarns, our friendship, having you as Uncle Idris to my beautiful kids, you know, and I think, you know, just keep doing you, Bruss, because it's deadly. And you know, like you are the giant. and you are creating those, those footprints for for Bindi and for your other siblings and for other young mob as well. And you're kicking those doors down, bros, and maybe stomping a few homophobic crew along the way, And so, so just acknowledging you and your worth, and know that, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
Again, if you are, wanting to buy some incredible art, jump onto Idris's Instagrams, shoot him a message, and if you can't find it, just call Murrin Hub. Murrin Hub is located on Wadawurrung Country, and Idris works from there. But also we have a lot of Idris's stuff, but we'd much rather you buy directly from Idris because he gets all the money then. Hey, bros. And cash. Have you got cash? Anyway.
Cash is good.
Cash is good. I appreciate my brother. That was deadly.
Thanks for watching this week's episode.
If you would like to see more of this type of content, like and subscribe.
If you want to support the work that we do at Strong Brother, Strong Sister,
Visit our website and make a donation today.
see ya!